So it's almost been a year since we got the trailer revealing the new mainline Kingdom Hearts game with KH4, and just like everyone, I was super shocked that this boy was still alive and kicking. I was even surprised that Square even had footage or wanted to reveal anything, especially that the prior game came out like 3 years before. But with that, I'm super excited, and I contrived the list of all the things I'm hoping that they come out with the next game. So with that, here's the top 10 things that I'm hoping that KH4 has. Yo, welcome to the channel, it's your boy Skater V. I do videos on gaming and other subjects that I'm into, so please check out the channel if you want to see more, and subscribe. With that, let's get to the video. Now the list is no in particular order, but we're gonna start with number 1, and that's combat. Now, every Kingdom Hearts game, they're always changing some of the mechanics, but it's always kind of been the same. And with part 3, Square did show that they can basically translate all that into the new Unreal Engine. But with part 4, I'm really hoping that they can involve it a little bit more. Because while it's awesome to have 50 different Heartless and nobodies everywhere, with games like God of War and Elden Ring, maybe less will be more, or having a little bit more strategy. Because even with this mess, it's a little bit too chaotic to figure out, okay, which enemy is going to just shoot at me, take me down, just block me. So I'm really hoping they add just a little bit more stuff into the gameplay. And what I think can really add to that is number 2, and that's tech points. Now in the first game, they had this system where if you block the enemy's attack or hit them with a counter, like these ice enemies, I hit them with fire, you would get these extra XP points that will help you level up. And I just think it was a great indicator to show the player that they were using the mechanics of the game right, and also rewarding them by just at least helping the process of leveling up go a little bit faster. Now let's talk about Keyblades. Now with part 3, I really love what they did that you can switch Keyblades on the fly, and it did replace the forms from part 2, which were a little bit sad, but they were really cool that you can have this super awesome combo, so you can pick 3 Keyblades and then just build up the meter and then use those combos and stack them up, or have different scenarios which if one had a stronger water ability or the other one had a magic ability, you can use them for different scenarios in combat. Now the one thing I didn't like was the level scaling of the Keyblades, because as you get further in the story, you get stronger Keyblades, so there's no point in using some of the ones that you got in the beginning of the game, and you actually have to mine some of the materials to level them up. Now one system that comes to mind that in KH2 Final Mix, they have this thing that in order to level up your forms, you had to not just use them, but also meet certain achievements by using those abilities that they have. And maybe they could just do the same thing with the Keyblades. You have to use them, I don't know how many times in order to level up, use the magic on this ability, use fire on this one 20 times. Certain things like that can really help just keep player engagement, and also encourage them to use certain Keyblades that they normally wouldn't use, just to maybe get a certain achievement or trophy out of it. Number 4 is Flowmotion. Now since they introduced this mechanic in during Drop Distance, I've always kind of questioned it because it kind of has made the game a little bit cartoony, if that makes any sense. But with the trailer of part 4, it actually seems like they might actually do some real cool things with this. So I'm fine with it for now, but I'd love to hear your thoughts down below, because sometimes it just makes it seem like Sora is stronger than the entire Avengers team all put together. Like he has all their powers. The only thing he's missing is shooting lasers out of his eyes. Number 5, level design. Now the Kingdom Hearts series has always done a great job adapting these Disney movies into these 3D worlds that you can walk around, and even expanding upon them, making them feel like livable worlds. And the first game did a great job at this. Now, one thing was that it didn't have a map, but there was a sense of mystery as you were walking around, because there were hidden pathways that you couldn't get across. There were platforming that you also had to figure out. You could have fell off the edge and gone all the way down to the bottom of a map, so then you had to figure out and climb the tree all the way back up like in Tarzan. Or here in Hollow Bastion, you go all the way to the water dungeon areas, where you have to hit a switch so you can open up the door to progress through the story. Things like this add to the world building, and who doesn't love going off the beaten path? So I really hope maybe in part 4 they can have a little bit more of an outgoish approach to some of the worlds, like they did with Pirates of the Caribbean. Now, I will admit Frozen was a pretty good level and it did have a bunch of layers to it. A lot of the worlds of part 3 felt a little too linear, and I would have liked maybe a little bit of backtracking like in the previous games, where you can at least see a different approach to some things just to get a little bit more of the worlds, because like Big Hero 6 was just an open world night and day cycle, so it really wasn't anything different that you saw in your first time around. So maybe some things like that can just expand, especially if they're not going to add so many worlds and they're going to add more quality than quantity in these next games. Now this one's going to be the most controversial one on the list, but we got to talk about it at some point, and that's the writing. Now, don't get me wrong, I love the story of Kingdom Hearts, how it's about a group of young people showcasing their emotions, how they really care more about friendship than power. It's a bunch of awesome, great stuff. But throughout the years, maybe it's the translation, but some of the lines and dialogue in the English dub just don't translate that well. Like sometimes they just sound super cheesy, how they say darkness 15 times in a sentence, and times they're so vague that you can't even tell if they're talking about things that are happening in this current game. Now these are also all the things that we love about the Kingdom Hearts series, so really in the day, as long as Papa Nomura has a group of writers with him in the next one and he reads some of the lines out loud, then I think we'll be fine. Now, once this game comes out, you bet your sweet cheeks I'm going to be looking through every nook and cranny and combing through every layer in this game. But one thing that I felt that the third one was lacking was some endgame material. Now, as a little kid, I was always hoping that one day I can at least, I don't know, get a copy of a final mix edition in Japanese, but now that is the base norm that everyone is playing that version, there was just so much content added to that now I think a lot of fans just think that that's how all the Kingdom Hearts games are. And with the DLC that they added in Remind, it really wasn't like a final mix other than just a DLC added to it with just a little layer of some extraness. So I'm really hoping that maybe in the fourth one they just add some more stuff to it, extra bosses, different layer keyblades, all that good stuff. Like honestly, the last one only had one secret boss, am I right? So yeah, just a couple extra things would have kept me playing part 3 a little bit longer. Now with part 2, again, this was a final mix edition, you can enter the Caverns of Remembrance without even beating the game. And while it was a really hard level, you can just at least enter and get a taste of it, so you knew that they're like, alright, I'm gonna have to level up so I can really test this area. Now with the DLC of part 3, it was the opposite. You had to level up and scale from the third game in order to really get some achievement out of this one. And because there was a lack of any endgame bosses or enemies, it was really hard to really level up. And that's kind of been an issue with all the Kingdom Hearts games, that the enemies don't scale with you, so you can easily go back to some of the older worlds and clear right through them without barely getting any XP, because as you level up, you need more points. So maybe leveling and scaling some of the enemies with you as you get stronger will really help, because by the time you get to level 70, you're just clearing throughout the entire game, like you're just farming and grinding really heavy, and I don't think not many fans have really appreciated that part of the series. Now, Kingdom Hearts has had some of the best endgame bosses in all of gaming, but part 3 was just not it. Now in the next game, I bet we're gonna face a bunch of new enemies and characters throughout, but there's one that's been controlling and pulling all the strings, and that's the Master of Master. Yes, Mom. Now, while I will admit his whole approach to the series is very intriguing, I do love his dialogue, Nomura has to figure out what he's doing with him, because he basically hindered the real ending of part 3. Maybe I'm wrong, but the whole mystery box and the whole Lost Master arc, they gotta figure out what they're gonna do with it, because they cannot spend 3 games trying to flesh this out. Hopefully in the end of this next one, they can at least establish something that maybe the Master is a different type of character, there's someone stronger than him, or the next one we can actually face him. But we really gotta figure out much more about what he's trying to pull off, because we can't just spend another decade trying to figure out, because who knows when the third game is gonna release. Number 9, the Gummy Ship. Now, who knew that this terrible mechanic from the first game will actually evolve to actually become something really fun and a key pivotal part of the series? But we all have to admit, they really could add a little bit more to this. And sometimes, even though this is a great break in between some of the gameplay moments of the game, I kind of wish they would have added a little bit more in part 3. Now, I love the on the rail system that they had in part 2. I thought it was really great, and part 3 just felt like it was more of an arcadey sense type game to it. So I don't know if they could add a fusion of both, it could be great. But it's very interesting that this is basically like a real serious mechanic in all the mainline Kingdom Hearts games. And I don't know how many people do the whole customization of the gummy ships and everything, but I do think it is pretty cool and they should keep it. Now we're at the end of our list, and while the last one is loading up, we gotta talk about an honorable mention, and that's these weird IG loading screens. Like, I know games are trying to be more realistic, but this needs to stop. We do not need social media in this Kingdom Hearts universe. Like, Donald, why are you even tagging yourself? Are these hashtags? I can't even tell. The game ain't over until I say it's over. What? Like, hashtag, please make it end. Like, I just find it odd that these characters that don't even know each other and talk to each other are going to social media to express their feelings. Like, what? No, like, I know we wanted photo mode in a game, but this is too far. Number 10, more original worlds. Now, when you think of a Kingdom Hearts level, you think of some random Disney movie. But really, some of the best world building and storytelling has been in these original worlds, like Twilight Town, Traveler's Town, Hollow Bastion, The Letter Became Radiant Garden, The Land of Departure. Like, there are original worlds that have added to the mythos of this game. But in part 3, we really didn't see much of that. Now, we got to walk around Twilight Town, which was really cool, and there was a bunch of NPCs and everything, but we didn't even get to step inside the mansion or get near the tower for, the least that they could have done. And a lot of the other worlds, we only saw them in cutscenes. Now, based on the first trailer of the new game, it seems that we're going to be in this new massive world that I won't even try to pronounce the name of, but it's going to be interesting to see what type of different mechanics and story arcs that they're going to have in this, because usually some of the best and most heavy lore type things unfold in these original worlds, and it kind of helps to get that type of information dump in these type of areas, because you don't have the distraction of the Disney world and their stories and settings being in the background, and it just makes it a little bit more tolerable. And plus, these are kind of the best designed worlds in a sense. I don't know if anyone's felt that, but I always think of the music from Traverse Town and Twilight Town. Like, honestly, these towns are the hits. I wish I can live in them. And plus, I would think Square would love to do more original worlds like this, because the creativity that they can do is endless compared to a Disney world where they have limitations that they have to abide to. But whatever, I don't know anything about game design. This is just a random list. I'm a massive Kingdom Hearts fan, so I really appreciate that you got to hear me just rant about all the things I'm hoping about this next game. And most likely in the next couple months, some of the things I mentioned are gonna get debunked, they're gonna get added, or maybe even taken out. So I can't wait to see what the journey of Kingdom Hearts 4 is going to be. And if you want to follow along, hop in the Gummy ship that is my channel. And whenever they release new trailers and information, I'll try to bring them out to you. So if you want to stay on top of Kingdom Hearts and gaming news, or just hear your boy rant, how about you check out the channel and subscribe? This has been your boy Skater B. Until the next one, I'll catch ya. Peace!